Welcome to GlideChat, where we give you the rundown of all things ServiceNow. Let's talk about the now, right now.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of GlideChat. I'm here today with Jake Hershkowitz, Regional Sales Executive at GlideFast Consulting. I'm Brett Karl, VP of Solutions and Alliance at GlideFast. And today we're going to talk to Jake about his experience with GlideFast, with ServiceNow, and the industries that he supports. So, Jake, how's everything going today?
Everything's going great. I'm excited to be here. Maybe thought that I was going to get a flight out to the Boston podcast office, but this is looking pretty official. So,
unfortunately, you get the remote office in Detroit, Michigan. So, hope we don't get you disappointed. We'll do better next time.
Well, yeah, so super excited to be here. I'm Jake Hershkowitz. I'm a regional sales executive at GlideFast, supporting our Florida business. I'm excited to kind of talk to you all about my role and some of the customers that we're helping.
Absolutely. So talk to me a little bit about how you got into this space. So where were you before GlideFast? Talk a little bit about your background.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will say I was very much primed for the sales world. I can think back, right? So my dad's in the enterprise IT space. So I can think back to being 10, 11, 12 years old, driving up to travel basketball tournaments, sitting through forecast calls. So probably got to sit through like 50 forecast calls before I was even in high school. But no, beyond that, right? I think it kind of started when I was younger, maybe reselling sneakers, right? And then it was like reselling motorcycles. And then ultimately got a great opportunity to take an internship at Hewlett Packard Enterprise, where I was in their inside sales organization. So I sort of worked up through that HPE inside sales program, took over a field territory covering the state of Florida. And then from there, made the jump over to a global system integrator, kind of got my feet wet in the services space, specifically SAP support and maintenance, but supporting large global aerospace and defense company in that role. And then really started to hear a lot about ServiceNow, had a couple family friends that were in the space, saw a unique opportunity to come join GlideFast and take over the state of Florida. And so that's sort of how I landed here, and I haven't looked back ever since.
That's interesting. So you've got a good presence in the enterprise space with the different companies or organizations you work with. You've got a hustler mentality from selling shoes, and it seems to be the big GlideFast way, selling watches, from all the stories I've heard around here. So that's great. It sounds like it's a really good fit for what you're doing here at GlideFast.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a blast, and it's really just what I've learned here is my job. I'm supported by a ton of spectacular pre-sales and solution consultants. So really for me, it's about how do I become an expert of GlideFast and our delivery, and help our customers really get the most out of GlideFast.
So Jake, we'll talk about ServiceNow. We'll talk about GlideFast. Really want to focus on the industries. What industries would you say you focus on the most here at GlideFast, and how you help your customers?
Yeah, so there's a handful that I focus in on. I'd say one of the bigger ones is that home building and construction space. Next big one is going to be that travel, transportation, logistics, working with some of the cruise lines, some large hospitality chains. Another big one's healthcare. So focusing on, some smaller health systems, but also, large regional hospitals. And one of the more exciting ones, and one that I'm excited to talk about today, is that energy and utility industry sector.
Yeah. So energy and utility, it was one of our focuses for January for GlideFast. So I appreciate you bringing that one up. With energy and utilities, it really is that almost archaic space. We're not really building new nuclear power plants. Everything is more of a maintenance and maintain. And then your areas that are beneficial that GlideFast can work on, from my experience, is more the innovation and how we can transform. And I want to talk more about that. So for the GlideFast side, how many energy customers do we currently have? Do you know that number?
Yeah. So across, energy and utility, we have about 20 customers that we're actively working with.
So 20 customers. And then from the energy side, right, for what you're focused on, what are some of their major pain points? What are you seeing that they're struggling with in that ecosystem, right? So I talked about, from a facility standpoint, being just kind of old infrastructure that we're trying to reinvent. That's more for the physicality and the field services. But what are you seeing from the IT side? How can ServiceNow and GlideFast help those energy companies?
Yeah. So as far as like challenges and pain points, I think one thing that we see a lot of energy customers, face is that they have these evolving regulatory requirements. It's that, and it's the evolving cyber security threats, right? So a huge pain point has been, how do we maintain and manage and keep an accurate CMDB? Because we all know, right, that CMDB is foundational, right, for making sure that we've got accurate IT operations. But also, right, if you don't have an accurate and up-to-date CMDB, it's going to lead to inefficiencies. It's going to lead to, reactive responses versus proactive responses when it comes to solving issues out in the field. And then also there's a lot of potential security vulnerabilities if you don't have an accurate and maintained CMDB. So I'd say that's really a big challenge that we're seeing some of these energy customers face. And as far as like how ServiceNow and how GlideFast is helping address them, there's a few different ways, right? So I think first of all, it's helping our customers maximize their investment. And so it's largely in the IT operations space, right? So how do we help our customers maximize their ITOM licensing, right? Because if that CMDB isn't up to date, then some of the things that they want to do, like service mapping, like event management, all of that really isn't achievable until we build that foundation. So we're really just helping these customers find ways to become proactive rather than reactive, and really helping them reduce their downtime and overall, right, improving the operational efficiency.
Yeah, those are definitely some things that I think are important to customers. Are you seeing anything where they're starting with ServiceNow and they're going right to cybersecurity and CMDB and ITOM, or are they starting with ITSM? Are they doing migrations from other platforms? Or are they net new for ServiceNow and for GlideFast? Talk a little bit more about what you're seeing the average customer that you're interfacing with.
So the customers that I'm interfacing with aren't generally net new on ServiceNow. They've actually got some pretty large ServiceNow footprints. And so really what we've been doing is kind of it's a lot of cleanup, right? A lot of these global organizations have trusted their ServiceNow implementations with these large global system integrators. And ultimately, what they found is that when you get into products like, ITOM, certificate management, or like some of the SecOps products like vulnerability response, some of these generalist, developers just don't have that deep capability and experience in implementing it. And so what they've run into is a lot of order taking and a lot of, hey, this is what we want. And they may not know what they want, right? A lot of these customers have been at these organizations that they work at, especially in this energy sector, for 15, 20, 30 years. And so though a lot of them have really became experts in their company's domain, they're really looking for expertise of what other organizations have done. And so, just to name a couple things that we've helped out with, right? The first key initiative was around, certificate management. So we've kind of went in there and we're helping, one of these customers automate the certificate lifecycle. And so basically helping them, right, mitigate any risks of outages or breaches that are caused by some of these expired certificates. So like leveraging ServiceNow to do that. Another big one, I mentioned that we were working with their SecOps team, ServiceNow's vulnerability response module. So, there's these organizations are using these vulnerability tools like Tanium, like Tenable, and they're trying to proactively identify and remediate some of these vulnerabilities that are coming in. So we're really just helping these organizations use ServiceNow to firm up their security posture. I think that's a good way to land that plane.
Yeah, I think security is definitely a big area. With security incident response, you're able to have those incidents created based upon any sort of a risk or vulnerability that might be in play, so people can act on it and get that fixed, get that CV fixed, and so on. What other areas, what other problems are you seeing? And can you talk about a specific customer that we helped? So in the industry, obviously you've got over 20 customers like you talked about. Talk to me about another story. Give me another customer example of where we were able to help with ServiceNow.
Absolutely. So something unique that GlideFast can be proud of is that we're actually the first organization to successfully do an OTM go live. So helping implement ServiceNow's operational technology module. So we're looking at there, like, how do we track assets that are not the typical IT asset, right? So these energy organizations have industry control systems, they have SCADA systems, smart grids, wind turbines. And so what GlideFast did with one of our energy customers is we implemented ServiceNow's OTM module and really helped them, right, over a couple phases, realize the value of ServiceNow just beyond standard IT. And so again, what I see with my energy clients is they're looking for who's done it before successfully and how many times have you done it successfully. And so this OT space is something that specifically with energy clients we're seeing is an ask in 2025.
So you're seeing OT as a trend with energy customers and other customers at ServiceNow. But what other trends are you seeing? Where are people gravitating to in the energy sector? Problems that they have, improvements they want to seek. Talk to me about the trends that you're seeing in that market.
Yeah, so the energy and utility space is unique in that a lot of these organizations like to use their capital expenditure budget to purchase software and to purchase services rather than our OpEx budgets. And so something that GlideFast is able to do is kind of put language in a proposal or craft some of these statements in a way that helps these organizations use different budgets and get creative with how they're maximizing their IT spend. I think a big part of it is us working with some of these technology groups and being that bridge between technology and business, so that ultimately when it comes to these organizations going to implement and do this digital transformation, right, they're able to kind of have line of sight using CapEx to sort of free up that innovation budget rather than having to use their OpEx to keep the lights on.
Okay, no, that's interesting that they're going down the CapEx versus OpEx approach to solve some of these problems. So that's interesting. I want to go ahead and wrap here, and Jake, I thank you for your time. But I have one final question for you from the GlideFast side. Can you talk a little bit more about our other capabilities, what GlideFast can do for customers, how we're able to leverage ServiceNow, being that one-stop ServiceNow only and ServiceNow adjacent shop? Talk a little about that for me real quick before we wrap.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what really differentiates GlideFast from all the other ServiceNow partners or delivery organizations is that what we've done is created centers of excellences in each one of ServiceNow's product areas. So when an organization looks to implement with GlideFast, they're not only going to get a resource who's a certified implementer in whichever product that they're implementing, but we're also focusing on aligning folks who have done that in those industry verticals before. So pretty much everybody that was on the implementation team at the client that I worked with in the energy sector did another implementation with other energy companies prior to that. So you're working with an organization that not only has deep product expertise and knowledge, but also has a good understanding of what success looks like in your respective vertical. I think that's a big differentiator. The other one is around certification. So GlideFast is the most certified partner in the ServiceNow ecosystem. You think about these large global organizations, they've got massive benches of talent, but are they spending the time, the dollars, and the resources to get these folks up to speed on the latest and greatest platform release? Everybody understands that at this point. There's 2 major releases of ServiceNow every single year. How can we, and what GlideFast does is we make sure that everybody working in your instance is up to speed on the latest and greatest ServiceNow release. So those are some core reasons. I think beyond that, right, it's just GlideFast is a unique place, right? And so being able to show up to work every day and really enjoy what you're doing and enjoy your job and enjoy the people that you work with. We've got the saying, our late founder, Mike Lombardo, said, experts want to be around experts. That's the culture that we've breeded here. And ultimately that experience that you get as an employee directly falls onto the customer. And so you look at our CSAT scores, right? They tell you that answer of, right, I had a good experience when I implemented with GlideFast. So there's a couple of reasons, right? It's really a different experience. You're working with real human beings. You're not working with robots when you work with GlideFast. So I appreciate you having me here today, Brett. But yeah, looking forward to helping our Florida customers find ways to maximize their footprint on ServiceNow, and we're here to help.
Absolutely. Yeah. Jake, thanks for joining us. And for everybody, thank you for joining this GlideChat. And just remember, if you work with GlideFast, you get to work with Jake. So
let's go.
If you have a topic in mind that you'd like to discuss, reach out to us at glidefast.com and subscribe to our podcast for new episodes. Thanks for listening.